It's Hannah and Jared. We wanted to answer a few questions for you guys. So we put together a list of the most commonly asked questions we get about living in an RV full time. So we're just going to go over those one by one for you guys. And it's going to be pretty candid and just our honest opinions about these questions. So, all right. So first question is, do you get tired of it? It's a very general and loaded question.
Me? No. I love it. I get to travel. I get to explore. More for her, it's small and cramped, and wintertime, it really takes a toll because you're stuck inside. Summertime, you got the outdoors. If you're an outdoor guy, you won't get tired of it because you can just go outside.
I mean, I guess there's good things about it and bad things about it. And I think that people, to say that, like, you never get tired of anything ever, eventually you get tired of aspects of everything, right? So say we were living in a big house, I would eventually get tired of cleaning it, or I would eventually get tired of seeing the same scenery outside my house, or I would feel like I needed to go for a trip. I mean, that's the reason when people go on vacations, is because they feel like they need a break from their day-to-day. Eventually, you get tired of everything. And it doesn't necessarily mean discontentment, it just means that you need a break. So
usually it helps when you move. If you're in one spot in your RV for too long, it can wear on you. Now, I think that's probably going to be the hardest time is during the winter if you're stuck in a location. Roads are bad. It's snowy outside. Even if you're in Arizona, Tucson got snow this year. So, I mean, in the aspect,
Tucson's like
never
not
gets
far
snow
from the Mexico border.
So, I mean, like, wintertime, it can be hard. I don't like living in an RV when it's cold outside. And especially with this winter, there was so much snow in Washington. I'm glad we took off to Arizona. Even then, it was still got a little cramped sometime. But once winter or summertime hits, all that goes away.
Yeah, there are definitely aspects of it that I really do like, and you know, when we eventually aren't doing this anymore, I will miss. And one of those is just like right now. It's 3:30 on a Friday, so we're just about to the weekend. And when Saturday rolls around, we're gonna wake up and we're gonna be 1 hour away from a pretty much infinite list of things that we could go do and explore, versus if we were at home, it would require us taking time off work, getting plane tickets, or going on a really long road trip, coming down here. Like, there would be a lot of travel involved for us to get to these places, and a lot of people do that regularly. Like, they put forth a lot of effort to come visit these places, and tomorrow we're going to wake up and be like, you know, probably have our coffee and be like, so what do you want to go do today? Do you want to go see the Horseshoe Bend, or we could stop by Zion National Park, or hey, let's go see the Grand Canyon, or we can go see Bryce. Like, it's right there. And so I'm going to really miss that. I'm not going to get tired of that. It's, you know, little things I do get tired of, like if you don't keep your septic system treated properly, it will smell. If you do treat it properly, that won't happen, but that can be really hard to maintain in the winter, because when you put in your RV treatment, it's basically enzymes and bacteria, but it needs at least like a little degree of warmth for those enzymes to grow and multiply and break everything down. And if it's frozen, that doesn't happen.
Then you're using acid, sulfuric acid, to break things up in a tank, and then that just stinks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wintertime in an RV can get tiring. Summertime, you got the enzymes, smell blockers, not a problem.
Or like, so I'm, you know, if you follow our channel or you've been watching us on Instagram, you know that we have a baby, and I am still breastfeeding her. And any of you moms out there know exactly what I'm talking about. The second you start breastfeeding, you feel super, super thirsty. I always have that like moment at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's the middle of winter, so we don't have running water in here, and she's like nursing me dry, and I'm thirsty. I'm like, but I have to go outside, put on boots.
That's only happens every
find
once in
a
a while.
spigot, fill up my water bottle. You know, like there's little luxuries that you get used to and you kind of take for granted until you don't have them. But I don't feel like they're really enough to outweigh the benefits of.
Yeah, now I mean we got down to -5. Anything under anything under 20 degrees, your pipes start to freeze up. I mean you're running heat. I mean it doesn't matter. The way most RVs are built, unless you spend $100,000 and have all your lines wrapped with heat tape, you're gonna freeze up, and that's what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really why you go to somewhere warm, so that doesn't really happen. We've only had that happen
That's why people.
a few days out of the whole month, though.
Yeah, that's why people. I mean, RV in Arizona in the winter.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, this winter has been like record breaking for Arizona. I mean, we're in Arizona and we had 14 inches of snow one weekend. Like in one weekend. That's what we got. Not like it came and it just melted. It piled up 14 inches outside and we were like, this is not what we were expecting. He said we were going to go spend the winter in Arizona. So like you can always get kind of caught off guard or not run into what you're expecting, but it was a really long rant. Do you get tired of it?
Depends on the season and your situation, and anybody can get tired of it. But it really comes down to your circumstances, whether you're wintering in somewhere over down north or south, or what type of year it is, whether it's really going to push you to your limits.
And I feel like there's things that you can do to make it nicer for yourself than, like, if we were in a really, really moldy or run-down RV and we were constantly having problems with it and the ceiling was leaking and we couldn't stay warm, I would get tired of it super fast. But I feel like a lot of the answer to that question depends on your personality, your standards, and how nice of an environment you've been able to create for yourself in your motorhome or your RV. Because if you make it nice for yourself, you can, I mean, some RVs have like 4 or 5 slide outs on them and are nicer than houses that I've been in, and then other people are living in, you know, like old rundown 1970s campers that are leaking from the roof. So.
Lady next to us just retired from, oh no, she's retired, but she volunteers for the Forest Service. Yeah. And she bought a nice newer one, and I mean, if you've got
like a 2019.
Yeah, and she had her pipes freeze. I mean, it's brand new, but even though what I'm saying is there are situations that come up that can really try you, but she's got a really nice one, and we've got a 2002, and we're happy with this. We'd like to upgrade eventually, but
in all fairness, we've been able to make it nice for ourselves though too. Like we have this cute little like fireplace in our living room that adds a little bit of ambiance, and we spent a significant amount of time organizing it and making it functional with this amount of space. Like our space is very well thought out, and had we not done that, and if we had a bunch of crap with us and we were constantly buying, like I know people have kind of a tendency to be pack rats, if we had that issue we would be miserable, especially with a baby and dogs. But you can make it nice for yourself. Like, keep your place clean, be organized when you move in, and do maintenance on your place. Like, make your life nicer, and you won't get tired of it as quickly. But, like I said, my final answer to this question, do you get tired of it, is everybody gets tired of everything eventually. And that's why people go on vacations, to get a break from their house and their routine. So last weekend was our 2nd anniversary, and we went, and instead of staying here and driving an hour to Zion every day, we decided let's just stay in a hotel like right at Zion, and it was super nice. Like we had our break, we took our long showers, and like Macy ran up and down the hallways of the hotel, and we got free cookies at night, and like we like spoiled ourselves, and so like that was a nice break to have. And then when we came back, we were like, oh, we're happy to be home. But when we left, I wasn't really personally feeling that way. So it's all about like everything in moderation. You just kind of have to give yourself a break once in a while.
Yeah, we've overkilled that one. How about next question is, do you get mail? Answer is yes. There are mail services that you can have them scan it and send it to you. We personally just have ours in a P.O. box, and her mom will pick it up and
Thanks, Mom.
yeah, take
If you're
pictures of
watching this.
it, PDF it, and then ship it to our current location if it's really important.
And some RV parks, like if you're staying or at an RV park right now, or like whatever your itinerary is, if you know that next week you're going to be staying in an RV park or next month, check with them. They might not even have it listed as an option, but if you just ask, most RV parks will be totally fine with you having packages sent to the front counter, and they'll just sign for it and bring it to your RV, or you can put we put our slot number right on our mailing address, and sometimes UPS pulls right up here and like literally knocks on our camper door and gives it to us. So we've actually been able to I think initially I canceled Amazon Prime thinking that we wouldn't be able to utilize the free 2-day shipping. And then I ended up reactivating it because if I just went into the front counter here where we've been staying and asked them, and they said, yeah, just have it sent here and we'll sign for it and bring it to you. So we've been able to restock on essentials or special things you can't necessarily pick up in the local grocery store. We've been able to use Amazon Prime and
ship it in.
Yeah. Even our wedding rings, we both got new rings this month.
Shipped in.
And we got these in the mail, and they came right to our camper door. So, by the way, these are from Groove Life, and they're a fantastic company because
they bring all of them.
You pay one time. These are nice silicone rings. They're super soft and pliable.
This is my third ring they've sent me because I break them. They crack. They, like active wear.
So
for life.
They're great if you're a mechanic or a carpenter or anything like that that's super hands-on, or you're a mom and you're tired of clocking your baby with your 2-carat stone, or if you're an athlete or you spend a lot of time at the gym, you can't safely do a lot of things with a traditional wedding ring. So we love these because they I bought on Amazon, I bought him 2 or 3 different silicone rings, and after they broke, I had to buy him a new one. But this company, you pay for it one time, and if you break it, lose it, or it gets stolen, they just send you a new one for free, no questions asked, and you can pick a different pattern or a different color every single time. So we've been able to kind of like work our way through what they have. So we got that delivered right to our door. How long do you stay in one place? That's a good question. That depends. When we initially started out on this trip, we had a destination in mind, an end destination, which was Arizona, and we started off in Washington State, and we had a timeline that we needed to get to Arizona by, and that was partly weather dependent, and it also had to do with his daughter's winter break down here in Arizona. So what we did was, because I work full time and I didn't really want to take time out during my work day to travel and miss work, our goal was that we would move on the weekends. So we would typically kind of like start to tidy up our area on Friday. Saturday we would completely roll up, hook up to the truck, and take off. And we travel like basically as long as the baby would put up with. Sometimes it was 4 hours, sometimes it was 6 hours, sometimes it was like 2 hours. Just kind of depended on what she was willing to put up with the car seat.
We've stayed both at RV parks and off the grid. You've had to go down to Quinn's Hot Springs to get internet service. It's kind of dependent on internet, if we have phone service or not. We did stay at where was that? Montana, right on the river.
Yeah, there was a time when we were staying off-grid in Montana, right on the Clark Fork River, but we didn't have cell signal, and that I need cell signal to work, so every day I would get up and take about a 10-minute drive down to a local like lodge and restaurant called Quinn's Hot Springs. It's kind of like our little favorite vacation getaway. and I would go sit in the lodge there and work on my laptop.
Drink coffee and wine and work.
Not at the same time. I didn't drink coffee and the wine. It was like...
She started with coffee and ended with wine.
Always.
No, so we do stay off grid, but we usually keep it short. Usually in between places that we're traveling to, just because it's not cost effective to stay off. We will do it. There it was because we were right on the river. And it was location. It was amazing. Beautiful place. Nobody around.
So pretty. We go out into the river and fly fish in the morning. And
yeah, so I mean, there are occasions that we will, we'll go out and rough it, so to speak.
Well, actually, we started off roughing it the whole time because we were convinced. Well, I was convinced it was going to be cheaper to do that.
Yeah, and normally it is unless you find a good spot to stay.
Yeah, like for us, because you're staying off grid, you're relying on. I've talked about this in another video. You're relying on your tanks and your generator, and you can only go so many days, especially with 3 people in an RV. So it inevitably, like, it'd be the middle of the work week, and we would be out of water, and our gray and black tanks would be full, and our generator would be out of gas, and we'd have to go make a trip into town. And then I'd lose part of my work day. Yeah. Which, I factor in my mind that it's like the cost of the gas and the cost of the generator plus the cost of my lost wages. Time I could have been bringing in money that I wasn't. So, after a few months of testing that out, we found out we could have technically been staying in an RV park up to like $20-25 a night. Somewhere in that range. And so for us, because I work remotely and we have a kid, it made a lot more sense for us to try to find RV parks after we had tried both. If you don't have a job where you work remotely and you're retired or just independently wealthy and you don't have kids, it might be super practical for you to stay off grid. But for us, this has just worked out to be more practical in the end. We've been able to find an affordable place, and we've been here waiting for the weather to clear up enough for us to kind of like move on with our travels. So,
all right.
What's our next question?
Let's see. How long did it take you to downsize? Oh, this is a loaded one. What made us actually? I'll start off. What made us?
We were motivated because we had a timeline.
Yeah, we were in a near 2 hours away from Seattle, and everybody was jacking the rent up, and so they wanted to raise the rates from we had a place, and they wanted to raise the rates to $1,400 a month from $975, and we were like,
we already knew we were eventually going to move out of this place because Macy was, I believe, 3 or 4 months old at the time. Yeah. And we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. So, I mean, it worked great for us when we were first married. It worked great for us throughout my pregnancy and those first few months that Macy was born, because she was basically in her crib, like, right next to our bed anyway. But we knew, like, we're eventually going to have to move out of this place because our family is growing. So, we were already kind of, like, had that in mind when it came to making purchases and purging our belongings and kind of simplifying. But then we got a phone call that our rent was going up, like by a certain time. I believe it was going to be the following month, the first of the month. So we decided we're not going to pay that for this place. It was either
go get another rental and get a house, pay the same price, get a bigger house, because the one we had was like gated. It was super nice, double car garage. It just didn't fit our family. We didn't want to pay that much for it. Or we could go travel, and I had a 92? 94, I thought.
Oh, 94.
Yeah, it's a 94 Savannah that we went into first, and she got a screaming deal on this thing while we jumped into that for a little while, stored everything, sold out in a month.
Yeah.
Jumped into that, and then she scored this, and we went and picked it up. And
so from the time we decided to move into an RV until we were actually doing it full time, there was only about 5 weeks, I believe. So we took some of our belongings to my family's yard sale. I got on Facebook Marketplace, and I got on garage sale with a V, garage sale, like virtual garage sale. And I sold a lot of our belongings on there, like our furniture and things like that. Other stuff just went to Goodwill, and it was a great time to like purge everything. So like my stepdaughter, his daughter, is growing really fast, and so we went through all of her clothes, and once like we took the clothes that she was growing out of, stored them for Macy, got rid of anything that like we weren't gonna keep or was worn out, and we did the same thing with our clothes. Like we just purged and purged and purged. Like if you haven't worn it in 6 months, throw it out. And we simplified the crap out of our life. And we did it fast. Like our house was a disaster for those 5 weeks because everything was in boxes.
Sold 2 vehicles. Oh, how many vehicles? 2 vehicles and a 4-wheeler, go-kart. I sold a bunch of stuff. Like just
a truck,
just
a car, a 4-wheeler, a snowmobile, a go-kart.
Oh yeah, snowmobile. What else we get rid of?
I don't know.
A bunch of stuff.
Like, bunch of random crap. It's amazing. Like you box up your stuff as early as you can. Start putting stuff in boxes and just put them to the side. And I guarantee you, after like 3 weeks, you will have no idea what the crap is in that box. I guarantee it. Because I have moved. I'm not even talking about since we've been in the RV. Like, take the RV and our travels just out of the picture. I have moved 17 times in the last 5 years. So, I mean,
you might as well put yourself on wheels in that case.
Boxed up my stuff and moved and boxed it up and moved and boxed it up and moved 17 different times before we moved into the RV. Every single time I boxed my stuff up, I realized I had no idea what was in those boxes, and that meant that I wasn't missing it, which meant I didn't need it in the first place. Like, just, if you can't remember what's in the box, just don't even open it up. Just throw it away. Like, just get rid of it. Yeah. Because I guarantee you have more crap than you need. Everybody does. It's just the society that we live in.
Yeah.
But most people would probably take at least 3 months to downsize. But we were already fairly streamlined, and we had a definite deadline, so we were able to do it in 5 weeks. So.
Next question. What made you decide to buy an RV versus a tiny home? Tiny homes aren't really designed to travel. They're designed to park somewhere if you've got property. I mean, you can move them every once in a while. But tiny homes, I mean, we had, your friends built 2 because they built one and then it was too big to move.
Yeah,
then they built another one and put it in Arizona and they don't move it. So, I mean, it really comes down to what you want to do. If you're looking to buy a piece of property, have a nice little tiny home, you're single or a couple, and it's all streamlined, everything's efficient, it's a good way to go.
Tiny homes are very novelty.
Yeah.
Like, they have a huge following right now on social media, and, like, I mean, just look up, like, hashtag tiny house movement or whatever. Tiny House Nation is actually, I think, a TV show. And they are cool. Like, that's why they're popular, is because they are cool. But they're not really built the same way that an RV is. An RV is built to be light. It's built to flex. It's built very, like, there's a lot of structural integrity between the structure and the structure of the actual living space and the frame that it's built on. There's a lot of clearance between the bottom of an RV and the road. And a lot of tiny houses are actually built using the same materials and the same techniques as a house would be. So they don't really flex the same way. They're extremely heavy. So, like, if we had built a tiny home the size of this RV, it would probably weigh about 8 times more, because that would mean that we were using 2x4, like structural select Douglas fir, and we were putting studs every so many feet, and we were using nails. Just a box of nails weighs like 50 pounds. Like, there's a lot of weight on a tiny home, so that means that you have to have a bigger rig. And sorry, what were you going to say? I
was going to say, because we were traveling, and if you want to travel, an RV's designed for that. If you're staying in one place, tiny homes are great. You know, move it maybe once a year. Okay, that's fine. The structure of the RV, like all the cabinets, everything that's in the RV actually gives it stability. the way it's fastened to the walls, keep it from, you know, to keep it from breaking or shifting. It's all designed to travel, and that's why we went with an RV. Even though you might get better insulation value out of a tiny home, there's advantages of
definitely
a tiny home. If you're traveling, that is not an advantage. I mean, it's just not practical.
I mean, tiny homes are what they're called. They're
Yeah.
small houses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they will have better insulation value. You will have features like, some of them have like real wood-burning fireplaces in them, which is awesome, but they are a house. So think about that when you're thinking about what vehicle you have to pull it. You are pulling a house. I mean, like, I know that going down the road, you've probably seen big rigs pulling like manufactured homes down the road, and that's kind of what it's like to pull a tiny home. Like, maybe a little bit narrower, but you're gonna have a lot of weight behind you. You're going to go through a lot of gas or diesel, most likely, and you have to invest in a big-ass truck. Like, no matter what, you're going to have some hauling power.
Which we have, but...
The other reason why a tiny home wouldn't have been a great option for us is because most tiny homes don't have slide-outs. I do have some friends that had the opportunity to design and build their own custom tiny home. And, I mean, they went through a whole blueprint process, and they engineered this thing to have a great big slide out. But this thing weighs too much to pull. So they built a tiny home, they parked it, they live in it, but they come down to Arizona every single winter. They leave the tiny house in Washington, and they built a secondary, like a teardrop style trailer, a little bit bigger than a traditional teardrop, and they pull that with their vehicle, and they come down here. So essentially, their tiny house on wheels with a big slide out hasn't turned out to be more mobile for them than living in a traditional house has been. But it's been a really cool project and a neat experience for them. But it also cost them over $40,000 to build, and that was while they were on family's property with a place to build it and a garage to work out of, and their family's property had a ton of materials on it. So they had materials, they had scrap metal, they had parts, they had like tile and reclaimed wood and lighting fixtures, and like they had a lot of assets at their disposal to build this thing, and they still spent over $40,000. Plus, I think it took them, I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years. It took them a long time to build. So it was a year of their life plus 40 grand, plus a lot of family resources. We don't have those circumstances. We didn't have the money, we didn't have the place, and we didn't have the time. So for us, this RV has been we paid $3,000 for this thing.
Screaming deal.
Yeah.
We had a good deal on it. We sold our old one for just about as much as we paid for this one. We
just happened to get a really great deal on this because the guy needed it on that day. So for us, this has been great. We have a slide out. It's friendly for our truck. It's easy to pull, and it didn't cost us our life savings. So
yeah. And then the next question is what about fuel mileage?
That's all you.
Yeah. Well, we do, since we have a fifth wheel and we went with this style, you have the advantage of disconnecting and getting 15 to 18 miles to the gallon. We were getting 18 miles to the gallon with the diesel going to Tucson and back. Pulling, we get probably 12 to 15 with the diesel, depending upon if we're going over passes. Then it can jump down to like 10 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, going up and down hills will just eat that up.
Yeah, but if you're on, normal grade, up a little bit down, I can get 15 miles a gallon. I got 7.3, and hopefully better here because I put an HHO hydrogen fuel unit in it, which will cause the fuel to burn more efficiently. And I got it chipped, so.
And he's going to do a video for you guys on how to build one of those because it's amazing. It has saved us a lot of gas money. You're going to make a video about it because they need to know how to do this themselves if they're going to do that and save some money on gas.
Yeah, I've got to perfect it though, because right now I have one that's perfected and I built this one on the road, and it will continually, the way I designed it, it basically turned it into a sodium battery, and it's as it continues, it off gases hydrogen as it sits because it discharges. So I gotta change up the material a little bit. But yeah, it works awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna do a video on that for them because they need that.
All right.
But bear in mind that if you are staying in a motorhome or you're with a coach, if you don't have a secondary vehicle, then that means that you're going to be getting that crappy gas mileage every single time you have to go to the grocery store or you need to run into town to do some kind of an errand, versus if you have a tow vehicle and a trailer, camper, fifth wheel, or whatever, you have the option to detach and get better gas mileage when you need to go do those quick in-town errands.
I want to say the advantage of having a fifth wheel is not as much tire wear if you're traveling, because if you get like a coach or something and you pull a car behind, you're still wearing on those tires behind you. You still have then you have two motors, two of everything to work on. I mean, there are some advantages and disadvantages, but
two of everything to break.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you might have a backup, but I guess you weigh that out. But there is more cost in having two vehicles than just a fifth wheel, and because you're gonna run. We put 4,000 or 5,000 miles running around in the truck without the trailer,
Yeah.
So.
If we'd been getting the towing gas mileage the whole time, it would have been
really expensive.
Yeah, would have added up pretty quick.
Yeah. This is the next one's for you. How do you stay in shape while on the road?
That's a good question. So, for us, since we've been on the road, we have done a lot of hiking. So, if you have the ability to do that, if you're traveling to places that have good hiking trails, and I don't mean like flat level walking, but actually do some switchbacks, get out there and burn some calories. That's a really good way to do it. Additionally, we were fortunate to find the place that we're staying right now. We have access at the Kaibab Paiute Indian Reservation. They actually have a gym that they allow people who are staying here to use for free. We haven't used that a ton, but we have taken advantage maybe half a dozen times or maybe a little bit more of just going up there and playing basketball, which, is a good way to get out of your house and run around, and Macy enjoys running around the basketball court.
And it's snowing.
Oh, dear. So, aside from that, since we have been on the road, we have also gotten into the habit of going for walks more frequently. And I don't mean walks instead of hikes. Hikes are still, you're going to burn way more calories and get in better shape faster by hiking than you will walking. But walking is still a good way to burn like an extra 150 calories a day or 200 calories a day. And that can add up over time. And it just kind of keeps you mobile. It's easy. In a small space, it's easy to just sit here and not move. But get out, go outside and go for a walk in the morning, in the evening. We have dogs, so that kind of helps motivate us to get out and go for a walk. But also, I recently started coaching Beachbody, and that has been a huge help for me because that means that I have access to Beachbody on demand. And you don't have to be a coach to do that. You can just sign up for Beachbody on demand. And the great thing about that is that you can use your phone, your tablet, your laptop, or you can stream it to your TV. The workouts are like 20 minutes long. Like, they're super short. They fly by. Like, as soon as you feel like you're just getting into it, it's over. And they're pretty much just body weight oriented. Like, there's a couple of them that have an option to, like, you could use resistance bands, which isn't really a problem if you're in an RV. You have room for resistance bands. You don't have to have, like, a weight set. There's an option for sliders to kind of challenge your core a little bit more. But if you just get a subscription to Beachbody on demand, you have access to hundreds of workouts. I mean, like, everything from hardcore lifting, dancing-oriented ones, to, like, my favorite right now is Pyo, and it's like a combination of yoga and Pilates. And I've been able to make some progress with that, actually. And It's nice to just have super easy access to that. So if you're thinking about going on the road full time, definitely consider getting a subscription to that, because it gives you a lot of resources right at your fingertips, and you can download the videos for when you're out of cell signal. So if you're staying off grid, you can still play them from your downloaded files.
Yeah. And I've even used it, and it's very. I don't really have a problem staying in shape. My problem is I can't move. I get bound up.
Rigor
I
mortis.
can't
Rigor
touch
mortis
my
sets
toes.
in.
So I've been actually doing not like really the workouts. I've been doing the PIO, and it's really helped me.
Even Macy does the PIO.
Yeah, she gets on her head.
She gets in her crib while I'm working out, and she does her little downward dog and stretches, and it's super cute.
Yeah, it keeps my muscles stretched out, and I mean, it keeps me in shape in the aspect of like I'm not going to be putting on a lot of weight, which I like. And I mean, I go on hikes, and there's a lot of other things, but for people that already are active or have muscle and or don't have a problem with weight, PIO really helps with keeping from being muscle bound, because I get locked up. I'm like,
yeah. And with PIO, you're constantly moving, and like a lot of people think of workouts similar to yoga or something like that, as you're just like holding these stretching poses for a long time. And with PIO, you are like moving, but you switch back and forth from like, this move is really stretching your hamstring, and then this move is really working your quad. So it's like a combination of strength and agility that's great for if you're like us and you're kind of in the winter and you're stuck in this smaller space. It's easy to let most of the day go by, sitting at your desk working or watching TV or something like that when the weather's crappy outside. And then at the end of the day, you realize you haven't really moved much that day. And that's not good for you at all.
I got 3,275 steps in a day.
So I'll put a link in the description to this video to my website. And right there, you can go in and you can subscribe to Beachbody On Demand. And I recommend that you get Shakeology as well. It's not a protein shake. It is so much more than that. We think of protein shakes as like, oh, it's whey protein and that's all I'm getting out of this. Maybe some amino acids. But Shakeology is super, super dense nutrition. All it is antioxidants, phytonutrients, protein, greens, prebiotics, probiotics, adaptogens, whole bunch of really, really good for you stuff. So, and like we get the chocolate one, and it tastes like having
chocolate and strawberry are the best. Vanilla's kind of
tastes like having some sort of like a cheat meal or something like that. But it fills you up, and it is a good way when you're on the road a lot. It's easy to start eating junk food and start lacking on your micronutrients, which is just a bad idea. So make sure that you get some type of supplement that you can add into your diet that's going to give you all of your vitamins, your minerals, and your antioxidants, and all of your macros. You get your macros pretty easily, but you need to get those micros too, especially wintertime. You really need to get that. So I'll put a link to that in the description down below.
Next question. How do you travel with kids? It's actually not too bad. When we do pull, as you talked about earlier about on like Friday we'll get packed up, on Saturday we usually leave around Macy's nap time. If you can plan nap time, kids will go to sleep in their car seats and she'll be out. I mean, she sleeps better than any other time. So I mean, it's not really that difficult if you have a child that sleeps in the car. So plan their nap time, throw them in the crib or their car seat, and be ready to go by their nap time, and she passes out anyway. So It's really easy.
And that's the going down the road portion of traveling. But if you're wondering about what it's like actually like living in an RV with a kid, that's a different question, because, well, she lives here and it's not always nap time. So
well, actually, she's watching Sesame Street out there right now, so yeah. She's pretty content.
We have made it work by putting some thought into it. So when we moved out of our apartment and into the RV, we didn't downsize to like a pack and play or anything like that, which would have been really convenient, We actually brought her, like, wooden crib.
Crib.
We brought her crib with us, and she's got her whole little setup out there, and the reason for that was that it gave her a familiar environment, and we didn't have to transition her from her first home, her first apartment, the area where she took, those first few, not steps, but like crawling. She started to crawl in our apartment. We didn't want to rip that completely away from her without having some sort of like a consistent, familiar environment. So for her, that's been her crib. We've made sure that we always have that. We have familiar bedding for her, and she's got her toys. But like we've said before this, we spend a lot of time outside. So it's not exactly like she's stuck in here, cooped up all day. I mean, and even when she isn't here, she's just the happiest kid in the world because she runs back and forth across the trailer, up the steps, and across into our room, climbs up onto the bed, and turns around and runs back and does it all over again, and she's just like a giggling maniac the whole time. So, but she gets a lot of interaction. We take her to the clubhouse here. We take her outside to play with the dog, which we have a puppy. And the puppy and her right now are like in dog years. Where the puppy's at and where the baby's at is almost like exactly the same. So it's kind of like they're the same age right now. So she gets a lot of social interaction with the dog. We're always on hikes. And she meets strangers on the trail every time. People stop and say hi to her. Usually afterwards we go out to eat. And she makes friends with the entire wait staff every single time.
Hi!
Yeah. Hi! That's her little...
Yeah.
She says hi very well. She doesn't say much else. So I feel like
Chocolate.
it's turned her into a pretty well-rounded 1-year-old, actually, because she's comfortable talking with strangers. She's not completely dependent on her surroundings being the same all the time because she is used to traveling at this point. She's used to riding in our Duder backpack and going out for hikes. She gets to see a lot of beautiful scenery that a lot of adults haven't even seen yet. She has a puppy to play with. She gets a lot of exercise. We take her up to the...
She even has a jumper to jump outside. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Next question is, are you going to do this forever?
No. We're not going to do this forever. So...
We are going to... let's put it this way. We're never going to stop traveling. We plan on buying a house or a place to do, but I'm sure we'll take off in the summer times, have a place to winter in the winter time, but we might, we're looking at places, we might do this for another year, depending upon what we get.
Full time, though, we won't do this
Yeah,
forever.
we won't do this full time forever.
We'll probably always have this hobby. We'll probably always, be that couple that, like, goes and takes a trip and disappears for takes off for a while and goes to see some crazy places. But
our plan is not to have to winter in the wintertime with one of these all the time.
Let me wake up the camera here.
Yeah, not that it's... Because otherwise you got to go to someplace warm, and we kind of want to winter probably up north somewhere. We'll probably buy a place, so...
Yeah, our goal is actually... we've been trying to find some property, and we plan on... putting a few cabins on it. We're interested in getting into cabin rentals via Airbnb, or we've actually considered starting a glamping business, like getting some property and setting up nice canvas tents. And why are you making that face?
We're gonna be on the opposite side of it. You know how people go out and visit. We're gonna be on the opposite side. People coming up to visit us. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
But on the off season, we can still hop in here and we can go do stuff.
Yeah.
But doing this long term is not. If you're already retired, you've already made your investments, you've already kind of like made your money in life. Then doing this full time is a great option because you now have like a set amount that you've made throughout your working career, and that's what you've got, right? So to spread that out, if you're retired, RVing full time is like the best retirement option for you because your money will go super, super far compared to alternatives. But if you're our age and you're financial future is still ahead of you, we need to kind of buckle down and start making some smart investments in terms of like property and building some equity and just kind of like building up our portfolio financially. Can't really do that from here. We need to head to an area that we want to settle in and find the right economy, find the right property, and start cultivating that. So we won't do this forever, but we're taking advantage of the time that we have to do it right now.
Yeah, which is, well, until we find property.
Yeah.
So, next question. Where do you dump your tanks? Well,
at dump stations.
Yeah, Campanium. There's places along that provide it. If you go buy something from them, buy fuel, they let you dump for free. Senex, in some places, has that option. There's like Love's, there's trucker stops.
Mm-hmm.
And also, going in between your campgrounds, they usually have a dump station. Even some not national parks, but like state parks will have a dump station. It's like $2 to $4 to dump.
Occasionally, if you're on the freeway, some interstates will have like rest
dumps,
areas. Will have like, if you've ever, I never really paid attention to it before, but sometimes when you pull into like a rest area where they have bathrooms and then you pull back out onto the freeway, you'll see a little sign and it has an image of a camper with a down arrow. That is telling you that there is a dump station there at that rest stop. So keep your eyes open for those because those ones are usually free. And not all interstates have them. Like, I know in Idaho, they're really sparse. But Washington and Montana have them.
Oregon has them.
Yeah, Oregon has a bunch of them.
Sometimes people will charge you to go dump. They'll have personal ones that you can pull up to and dump to fill water.
Good luck, like, pulling into, like, a KOA or a RV park that you find on the side of the road and you think, well, okay, so they're an RV park, they're going to have a dump station that I can use, right? We have pulled into RV parks when we were going down the road and we couldn't find a dump station and asked if we could use the dump station there. We even offered to pay the nightly rate, even though we weren't going to be staying, and their response to us was, it's for our guests only. I don't know why. Like, your guests' crap is better than ours? Like, really? But, okay.
There are some, every once in a while you run into areas where you just got to keep pulling until you find something. But, I mean, it really comes down to just, they have apps out there, Campanium, Passport of America, they show spots and you just got to jump from one to the next, and it's really not that bad.
I have always had better luck with the apps than I have doing a Google search for, like, dump stations near me. If you didn't catch what he said, Campendium app. So Campendium. And you can go in there and you can go to your filters in your app and look for RV parks within a certain price range with full hookups or partial, state parks or national parks, things like that. Just clear those filters and set it to a dump. You can search just for that and it will pop up a map and show you, and you can kind of like downsize or upscale the map and it will show you dump stations within that area. I personally had a lot better luck with that than I have using Google to search for anything. They just don't show up. We've like driven by a Senex and they had one and we didn't show up on Google. So use that app.
So another question that was asked is, how do you make money to live when you're on the road?
That one is all about multiple streams of revenue. Personally, I still have a day job even though we're on the road. My work history is actually in construction. So I did that for a lot of years, and then once I found out that I was pregnant, I realized actually by the time I found out I was pregnant, I was 3 months along. So I really needed to find a new job quickly because there was no way I was going to make it much longer in a physically demanding job like that. So I learned how to use graphic design tools like Adobe Illustrator, Sketch, XD, InDesign, things like that to prototype mock-ups or create mock-ups turn those mock-ups into prototypes and user experiences for clients. Also learned web development. Those are some skills that you could utilize on the road. All that you really need to make money doing something like that is a good laptop and internet connection. If you have those things, there are ways that you can make money on the road. Aside from that, we have made money using drop shipping, which is essentially where you create a platform to sell things on. So in a typical retail environment, you have a supplier that sells to a store, and that store sells to the public, right? So it's following that same cycle, but the supplier sells to you, and your store is a website. You create this website, you reach out to suppliers, you gain relationships with them, and basically what happens is once customers come to your website and they make a purchase, that money comes into your bank account. You take that money, you forward the order with the client's information, obviously not the like credit card information or anything like that that has already processed. You just forward the order along with the shipping address to the supplier. The supplier ships it directly to the customer on your behalf.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have inventory. You don't have a lot of overhead. It's like $31 a month for a Shopify store.
Or there's other e-commerce stores out there that too you
There's
can get.
WooCommerce and things like that.
The whole goal is to have great wholesalers that you can buy from or factories. That's the trick. And when you can move product, then that's when they'll usually get into drop shipping and sending it to the customer for you. Because I mean, otherwise you're just going to get the same deal everybody else does.
Yeah.
And why buy it from you if you can't get it any cheaper? You know, if you can't sell at the same price the regular stores are selling it for, maybe a little cheaper.
Right.
So it comes down to your suppliers, getting good suppliers for your store.
And honestly, like, that's such a loaded topic right there of drop shipping. For some of you watching this video, you're probably like, drop shipping? And you've never heard of that, and I had never heard of it prior to last year. But it's a pretty in-depth topic, and there's a lot to learn there, but it's a really, really good option. If you're looking for a way to make money on the road, I don't really suggest that we try to cover this in this video of questions commonly asked for full-time RVers. I feel like we need to designate a separate video to that at some point. But now that you have heard of it, it's in your head, you can do some research and find out some more information and if it could work for you. I recommend checking out Dropship Lifestyle. That's who we learned our methods from, and we had pretty good success using their business model. So I'll put the link in the description down below for you to check that out, and hopefully we'll be able to cover that in another video in the near future. Other sources of revenue for when you're on the road includes blogs. If you build yourself a decent blog, then you're basically creating a profile for a platform for yourself, and you can gain an audience, and as long as you're providing valuable information to them, you can have pretty good success with affiliate marketing, and that's a whole nother topic as well, but a lot of people are familiar with blogs nowadays. I don't feel like it's really that big of a mystery how you make money with that. If it is, just do a little bit of Google researching for that. But having that as another revenue stream, even if, in the beginning you might not make a living at it, but it's enough to supplement that income. And that's what I'm trying to get at here, is having multiple irons in the fire, bringing in multiple streams of revenue is a good way to make a living when you're on the road. Aside from blogs, there are options like, if you're into photography, you can take those photos and you can sell them to places like CanStock or other similar stock photo platforms that will buy your photos and sell them to people who are looking for photos to use on websites or magazines and things like that. So If you have any other tips about how to make money on the road, please leave those in the comments down below so we can all benefit from those.
Down there.
Down there. See that? We'll wait. Whenever you're done.
This is a coffee cup, but I'm really drinking wine. Wasn't I supposed to remove it? Her too. I'm drinking wine.
You have no proof of that. Okay, so next question is, how do you keep up with friendships on the road?
See, it's social media, video calling. Macy calls Grandma all the time. Grandma came up and visited.
This is really a question from you guys. Like, this is 2019. Like,
How did you find us again? How did you find us?
We're making this video for you guys. We're in Arizona, and you're in God knows where. Really. Social media is a beautiful thing. There is Google Duo, Instagram, FaceTime, Skype, Facebook, I believe even has streaming options now, Zoom,
Wire.
Snapchat, Wire. There's all kinds of messaging platforms. There is, there's even a like family-oriented social media platform now where it's like you can create photo albums, and it's just geared towards family. Like, you would have yourself and your spouse and your kids on there, and you would have like your parents and the in-laws on there, and it's not necessarily for the general public. It's for keeping in touch with family.
We just met somebody this last weekend when we were out on Zion. He was from Alaska traveling, and got to know him. I mean, there's, you're not like...
You're not socially isolated.
Yeah.
You're meeting You're meeting new people constantly, but those friendships that you left behind at home are still super important. Like, those are your foundation, right? Those friends matter. So keep in touch with them.
Family's questionable. Friends.
It depends on your family.
Yeah.
But we have a baby, so you can imagine when the grandbaby came into the picture how big of a deal that was, that we were going to hit the road. But Macy is a pro at using Google Duo. She knows the sound when it's ringing, that means Grandma is about to pick up that phone, and on the other side of that phone is about to be Grandma. And this is what you will see, people. This is what you're going to see. My baby holds that phone right up to her face, waiting for Grandma to answer, because she hears the do-do-do-do-do, 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 and she waits so that she can do this once Grandma answers.
We'll have to provide a video of it for you guys.
Boy, I just did like a perfect reenactment.
She gets it from your side.
It's true. But social media is your friend. Get Instagram if you're not on there. Get Facebook if you're not on there. Google Duo is a wonderful way to video chat family from your phone. If you want to do more like conferencing, I use Zoom, but I don't really use Zoom for social purposes. I use Zoom for conferencing, for work, with my colleagues and teammates and things like that. But this really shouldn't be an issue, honestly, in this day and age when you can pretty much have contact on a daily basis with anybody. Doesn't necessarily make up for, it doesn't replace actual interactions with people. So get your friends and family to come down and see you. If you're traveling to the south, stop by and see old friends and family along your path. Still cultivate those like in-person interactions, because those are important as well.
All I gotta say is your house has wheels. You can go see them.
That's true. It's not like you're stuck. Pull yourself together, woman. Like, your house has wheels on it. Dang it.
I think it's kind of funny how all those people that live in like Tornado Valley, and it's like, why do you live there? Your house has wheels. Sorry.
I don't know. Obviously, that coffee is making him care about this topic a lot, so.
Not really.
Alright, so our next question is, how do you wash your clothes? prefer the soap and water method
I don't.
myself. What do you do?
I don't.
You just wait till like the body odor like cultivates itself and creates its own biosphere.
I haven't gotten there yet. I think something keeps happening to my clothes. They just keep magically. It's a magic cabinet. That's what it is. They keep magically appearing back into my cabinet clean, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm kidding. There's laundry. Come on, guys. You haven't seen that commercial about that magic table?
You're an idiot.
I know. Anyways, there's laundromats everywhere. We have the clubhouse has laundry service there. You go, washer, dryer.
But this is the first place that we've stayed at along our path since
No, there was
September.
Donata Hot Springs. Washer, dryer. I went and did a load too.
That is true. I forgot about that one. Okay, so this is the second place since we started this trip that has had laundry facilities on site. But what we did the rest of the time, like especially if we were staying, I'm gonna scoot back into the camera here because I'm like working my way out. When we were staying off grid, what we would do is when it was time for us to roll up the RV, pull in the slide out, and head into town to fill up our fresh tank, empty our gray and black, and fill up the generator. Since we were already in town, that was a good time, like, so you're not making two different trips and spending twice the fuel. Stop and do your laundry and pick up your groceries.
You make a day out of it.
So what we would do is we would stop by the laundry mat first. We would put in a load to wash. We would go empty the tanks and refill them. We would come back. We would throw those clothes in the dryer, run to the gas station, get gas in our generator tank, and then we would go do our grocery shopping, and then on our way back out, we would stop by the laundromat and pick it up. And the great thing is, you can just throw it right. Your house is right there. You can put it right in your closet. It's just
when we were shopping, it was like, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have to go home to put them away. My home's here."
I know. I was blown away the first time that we ever went grocery shopping with our RV like right behind us, attached to the truck. I came out of the grocery store, and for the first time it dawned on me, I get to skip like 10 steps. I don't have to unload from the cart into my car, get in my car, drive home, do one, because if you're not a loser, you do one trip in with groceries because you're not a quitter, and you do this one big haul into your house, spread out all your grocery sacks, and then piece by piece add them into your refrigerator. We just like came out of the store and I just took everything and like stuck it straight in the fridge. It was amazing.
There are advantages being able to put your house at a store.
And it's the little things in life to get excited about.
All right.
Wait a second. That has two meanings.
It's probably true.
Okay. Anyway, next question is...
She was poking at my manhood. If it wasn't obvious. It's okay. She does it all the time. All right. How much...
Actually, you do the poking.
You know what? Your parents are probably going to watch this.
No!
You edit this out then? Oh, boy. Okay.
Next question.
Why did you choose to live in an RV? Well, I think we already answered that one pretty much because we were pushed for time to get out of the place that we had to either get a new house or we just went and bought an RV and decided to travel. I'd done it actually before.
There was one reason why we didn't cover.
What's that?
We were stuck in the renter's cycle. So, at the time, like I said before, I had a really physically demanding job, so I had to make a career change right at the same time that we found out we were expecting a baby. At the same time, we were dealing with a huge legal battle with his daughter and his custody rights. So, expenses were super high. Expenses were still coming in the door every single day because, babies are expensive. And I had to make a career change. Because of that, it seemed like we were always just making exactly what we needed and never enough to pay off debts, pay down our credit cards, let alone be making headway and putting away some savings. So, but when we decided to move into an RV, we got so far ahead because there was two things happening. Our bills were cut down by like 3/4. And we sold so much stuff that, like, we made more on the stuff that we were selling than we ever anticipated that we were going to. So with that, like, twofold process of getting rid of stuff, which is bringing in money that we were able to put in our savings account, and by not having to pay like $1,200-$1,400 a month in rent, and having like a couple $100 a month in utilities and rent and things like that for a place to park the RV, we just had this huge shift. And I feel like that was the only way. Like, had we not done that, we never ever would have broken that renter's cycle. Like, there wasn't a way out of just making exactly what you need to put food on the table, to pay for your car, put gas in your tank, and keep a roof over your head. Like, that was all we had money for. Nothing else.
When you do it right, sell out, do everything. We went from living from month to month to you've got 2 to 3 months of bills in your bank account. Mm-hmm. Which is a smart move.
Which was incredible for us, considering that we had just changed careers, had a baby, and fought a huge legal battle, like, all within like a 2 or 3 month period of time. We came out of that with a couple months of bills in our savings account, when prior to that we were like just like
month to month,
hand to mouth. We were barely scraping by.
I mean, you got to think about it. You go from $1,000 a month in rent or mortgage, whatever, or to now you can go stay places. You can go. I mean, right now we pay $375 a month full utilities in Arizona
because we are Passport America members. Yeah. If you were not a Passport America member, we would be paying over $700 a month. Yeah. So I mean, like, you just gotta be smart about things. There is still a way to spend a ton of money a month living in an RV. Yeah. Some of the RV places that we have driven past, or like if we're coming into a certain area and we pull up our Passport America app or our Campendium app and we start looking for a place to stay, some of them are $60 a night. So don't think that we're saying to you, move into an RV and magically you're going to save all these money despite your standards of living. It has a lot to do with the choices that you make, your standards, and how good you are at shopping around.
Yeah, and like Donata Hot Springs, like some places will let you stay indefinitely. Not very many on your Passport America. Some only let you stay 2 days. Some only let you stay a week. We stayed at Donata Hot Springs for like a month, didn't we?
No, that place we only stayed for a week.
No, more than that. It seemed like forever. Anyways, what the deal there was, you could stay through the week. Okay, whatever. You could stay through an entire. No, it was more than that because we paid a couple of times. You could stay through the week. The weekend you had to pay regular price, which was $40 a night, and then with your Passport America discount of 50%, you paid $20 a night, which made it really affordable. Mm-hmm. So it averaged it out to below it was like $25 a night. I don't know how to do the math, but
and it is actually fairly difficult to find places that will let you use a discount for an extended period of time. Yeah. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense financially, because especially if a place is like half empty or more, you would think, okay, I'm a reasonable person. These people are probably reasonable people. I can go in there and talk to them and we will all come out ahead, right? Because financially, it makes more sense to have 50%, which is your Passport America discount, of something, than it makes to get 100% of nothing. But not everybody is that reasonable. Not everybody has that logical, or they have some sort of higher logic that I don't understand with my mortal mind. So, it doesn't make sense, but some places just will not let you use your Passport America for more than 2 nights, no matter how empty they are. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
Up here at Pipe Springs, they figured that out. They're like, no, come on, stay. Wintertime, we're slow. Come on in. But, Donata they packed out on the weekend, so they were like, yeah, come in and stay during the weekdays for half off. You can use it indefinitely during the weekdays, and weekends you gotta pay regular price because it gets so packed out, which makes sense. There's places like that, though.
By the way, if you haven't checked out our blog, go to www.dirtybootsanddarkcoffee.com, navigate to RV Life, and in that section there is a blog post that I put up earlier last week that's called How to Winter in Arizona on a Budget, and it covers a lot of the rookie mistakes that we made when we first started this trip, as well as RV parks that we have found that will let you use your Passport America discount, why you should invest in a Passport America discount, what makes it better than the other memberships. We are not sponsored by Passport America at all. We don't get a
commission.
We don't get a commission. We're not paid. They don't sponsor our trips. We are just telling you in all straight up, candid honesty that they are the best option. So that blog post goes into that a little bit more, and how to get one, when to purchase it. And the RV park that we have found in Arizona that we feel like has been a really good fit for staying for any length of time. So check out that blog post, and hopefully you'll be able to make it down here to Arizona on a budget using the tips that you find in that blog post. Okay, all right, so the next question. Have you found anywhere that you want to live? Yes. But I don't think they will let me live at the Zion National Park Lodge.
If you want to pay the money, they will. It's only like $200 a night. $180, excuse me.
$189?
Mm-hmm.
Was that at the hotel or the lodge?
The lodge.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't have a hot tub. That's why we didn't stay there.
I'm a big fan of national parks. I just love them. I love them for so many reasons. So I would love to live in a national park, but I don't really think that that's going to happen. But in all honesty, in all seriousness,
we were thinking of Alaska.
That's kind of how this whole thing started, actually. Because what happened was we were thinking about moving up to Alaska, the other A state. We were thinking about moving up to Alaska last summer. And that was our plan when we made the decision to move into the RV. It wasn't that we're going to move into the RV and we're going to travel full time. It was, we need to break our renter cycle. We need to do something different. They're raising the rent next month. We need to simplify, and we need to get all of our belongings into our RV. And then our plan was to hit the road headed north. We were going to go through Canada, end up in Alaska. We wanted to relocate to Homer, which is where my husband used to live, and that didn't work out. What happened is we had a family member that got into a really bad accident and ended up having to have surgery on his legs, and was unable to continue working to support himself during that period of time. So Jared was able to kind of step up to the plate and help him run his business until he was back on his feet. But when he was back on his feet and he was given the go-ahead by his doctors to go ahead and return to work, and that meant we would be able to move on and continue with our plans, it was already winter in Alaska. They already were in the middle of the deepest freeze, and it was already snowing up there. We were not about to move up there without time to prepare for winter. So we were like, well, we're already moved out. We've already sold everything. And we're already in the fifth wheel, so...
Yeah, we already
I guess we're
buying
gonna go,
a house up there, and...
I guess we're going to go south.
Yeah, so we decided to go to Arizona. It was either Oregon or Arizona, but obviously this was a good choice with all the snow that everybody's been having. I was like, I'm not going to live in it. I'm not going to live in the snow, deep snow with a RV again. My brother-in-law and sister are doing it, and all their pipes froze all winter long, and they're probably hating it right now.
Yeah.
I haven't actually talked to them that much.
So you need to follow the tips from how to keep in touch with family.
Yeah, that's questionable. I got some buddies I talk to.
Yeah. So, we love Montana. We actually used to live in Montana. And when we left Washington State, we took a detour through the panhandle of Idaho over to Montana, and then we came down through the southeastern sections of Idaho into Utah, and then all the way straight down to Arizona. So of the places that we've been so far, Idaho and Montana are probably the areas that, like, for a place to live would be our number one choice. But we're planning on seeing a little bit more on our way back. We would love to see Colorado, and we would really like to see Wyoming, especially considering that our goal is to eventually run an Airbnb and have some little cabin rentals. We would love to have that located next to a national park so that people can have the opportunity to go and tour the park during the day, and then they can have this great experience after they're done, hopefully staying at our cabins. So
I was already prepared. I was so prepared for Alaska or even Idaho and Montana. I already have, look at this, I already have the tan for it. See how white that is?
I was going to say, what tan? Yeah, so have you found places that you want to live was the question. The answer is yes, we have actually found several places that would be nice in theory. They have to also fit the criteria of being a tourist attraction so that we can get some traffic to our rentals, and they also need to be affordable. Like, honestly, I would live in Aspen because Aspen, Colorado is beautiful, but I don't have $900 million, so I can't live there.
Yeah, not quite. It's a little bit under. You have to meet a criteria.
Yeah, Aspen's pretty expensive, but it's beautiful. Yeah. So I found a lot of places that are like on my bucket list, but you can dream. You can just keep dreaming. Oh well. How much does it cost to live on the road?
That question.
There is not an answer to that question.
Depends on your choices.
Consider this. How much does it cost you to live in a house? Like, if we asked you guys that question, how much does it cost you to live in the house? What things would factor into your answer there? Because there's a huge range. There is no right answer to that. Some people live in a suburb outside of a not too populated city where there's not a strong economy and jobs are pretty sparse. So rent is cheap, costs of living is low, but you can have some beautiful scenery outside and take advantage of the low cost of living, right? What if that's not good enough for you? What if you like to live right outside of Seattle because either you work for Microsoft or you love the coffee or you're just a city bug and you don't want to live in anything less than 3,000 square feet that's also right down the street from the hottest restaurants in town? You're going to pay $3,000 to $6,000 a month in rent. So there is not really an answer to that question. A lot of that has to do with the decisions that you make, how good you are at shopping deals, how good you are at budgeting, and what your standard of living is. If you're willing to be flexible, you're good at budgeting, and you find really good deals, you can live on the road for pretty cheap. You will probably be like us and make some rookie mistakes in the beginning and learn, hey, if next month we do things differently, if we change this, this, and this about the way that we're doing things, we could save $400 a month. If you're not smart enough to do that reflection, do the calculations every month, and find room to improve, you won't make those changes, and so you won't make any improvements. You won't learn how to keep your costs down. So there's really not an answer to that question. We can tell you how much it costs us, but
on a month,
that's not
we pay $375,
going
but $175
to
plus
answer.
$175, so.
But that's not going to be an answer for you.
Yeah.
That's what it costs us to do this. Will not be the same for you, because we bought this trailer for a few $100s less than we sold the one that we had. So we actually made money transferring into this. We did have to buy a truck, but we were able to get a screaming deal on a truck. I'm not going to tell you how much we spent on that, but we were able to get a really, really, really good deal on a diesel truck. Since we started traveling, we tried off-grid. We found what worked for us. And then when we got to Arizona, we found that if we used Passport America and we found RV parks that weren't ideal. They're not conveniently close to anything, but they're centrally located to everything. So what I mean by that is, no, we don't have a Walmart 5 minutes away from us. It's not conveniently close to anything. But we are an hour away from Bryce, we're an hour away from the Grand Canyon, and we're an hour away from Zion National Park. If that's okay with you, you can stay here for $12.50 a night, which is $375 a month. $350 a month. But you have to be flexible enough to go with that. If you want an RV park in Phoenix, Arizona, right next to restaurants, and with a swimming pool and a hot tub and a gym and a clubhouse and all of those things and free Wi-Fi, you're going to pay a minimum of $45 a night. And I mean that with your Passport America discount, you are still going to be paying $45 a night. Some of the places that I looked at were $60 a night with your Passport America discount. So, really don't have an answer for you. All I can tell you is that there are so many variables, and it has a lot to do with the decisions that you make and how flexible your standards are. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's it, guys. We've covered several questions for you. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you would like to hear more about this, please leave a comment for us in the comment section down below. We will get back to you. We will answer you. We will do a video to answer those questions so that you can have a really good idea of what to expect next time you go on an RV trip, or if you're considering doing this full time. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. It's right there, right down below.
Somewhere.
Okay, yeah, you got it? Seriously? Okay, there's a button. It says subscribe. So just go ahead and do that. Subscribe. I think you'll like our channel. We're going to do some more videos in the future about tips and tricks on living in an RV full time. We also cover things about having a newborn and a toddler and parenting tips and tricks. We also like to share with you guys the beautiful scenery from our hikes and our journeys while we travel this beautiful country. So stay tuned for more of those, and we would love to take you along on our next trip. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah. Oh, that's me. Agent Squish Butter?
Agent Squish Butter.
I don't have any friends.